You might think you're in control of what you eat, but the uncomfortable truth is you're not. For decades, you've been lied to by a multi-billion-dollar industry that has expertly engineered nearly every product in the grocery shelf. These are designed for products that make you sick, keep you hooked, and ultimately to profit from your illness. This report that I'm giving you isn't just about losing weight, it's about fighting for your brain, your health, and your future. Now, we're drawing on to the work of leading experts who have spent careers fighting food giants and uncovering a terrifying universal truth. A shocking 73% of items on the American grocery stores are poison. And today we're going to expose the sweet deception and reveal the chilling science that proves sugar and ultra-processed foods are holding your mind and body hostage. This is a wake-up call, guys. The Alzheimer fact: 95% is your choice. Let's start with the most devastating chronic disease facing our population: Alzheimer's and dementia. Most people resign themselves to the idea that dementia is genetic and it's in a garbage of lottery or a foregone conclusion that it just runs in the family. But the science shows something profoundly different and frankly empowering. Experts state that the core genetic component of Alzheimer's accounts for a mere 5% of the risk. Think about that number. That means 95% of the Alzheimer risk is environmental. It's preventable, and this risk comes from factors like air pollution, exposure to chemicals, microplastics, and crucially, the food on your plate. And the choices we make 3 times a day have a massive cumulative impact on our brain health. But by the end of this video, I want you to understand the precise mechanisms linking sugar to brain degeneration. This means the power to fight dementia is not in your genes, it's in your hands. To understand the grip that ultra-processed food has on you, you have to look inside your brain at the key player in addiction. Dopamine is one of the brain's most essential neurotransmitters. It has 2 core jobs for survival: learning and motivation and reward. It is the excitement, the surge of anticipation, the drive that compels you to continue a behavior. Dopamine itself is good until it is chronically overstimulated. When you consistently bombard your brain's reward centers with sugar, cocaine, gambling, or scrolling through social media, the system attempts to protect itself. The neurons that receive the signal begin to downgrade their receptors. They go into hiding. It is a defensive move to prevent the cell from being completely overwhelmed and eventually dying. The physiological result of this defense mechanism is called tolerance. This is why the first bag of chips gives you a powerful rush, but the 10th bag gives you only a minimal satisfaction. You need more and more of the substance for less and less of the feeling. The descent from satisfaction to dependency is what experts define tolerance as the start of addiction. Now, the food industry is acutely aware of this cycle. They spend billions on food science to achieve the bliss point that stimulates this craving pathway. This is also why they meticulously use 262 names on sugar ingredients to date, to make it functionally impossible for you to track to avoid the precise ingredient that's keeping you in the phase of needing their product. The deepest scientific understanding of chronic disease, from mental brain fog to fatigue to cancer and neurodegeneration, begins with what is known as ATP Energy Crisis. Now, every cell in your body contains tiny little power plants called mitochondria, and their job is to take the energy from the food you eat and convert it to the cellular currency known as ATP. Anything that chronically depletes ATP puts a cell in danger. And here is the 3-step disaster that connects your diet to brain cell death. Reactive oxygen species overload. When you consume poor food, specifically ultra-processed food lacking the essential fiber and antioxidants, your metabolism generates toxic molecules known as reactive oxygen species. Now, these free radicals force your cell to reduce its ATP output as a protective measure. It's like turning down the power on a multi-functioning generator. Cortisol and stress destruction. Now, on top of the diet, modern life introduces stress factors, and stress prolongs high level of hormone of cortisol. Cortisol forces neurons to burn energy faster, leading to an increased demand for ATP. And now you have a supply shortage and a demand surge. This creates an acute energy crisis within your brain cells. Amyloid plaque formation, this is a crucial step. Within your neurons are then normal proteins that must be kept in a solution, a process that requires energy. The minute the cell's internal ATP levels crash due to energy crisis, these proteins come out of solution and form amyloid plaques. And these accumulation of plaque and the resulting of inflammation are the hallmarks of cell death. And this process, initiated by cellular energy crisis, is dementia. We must finally discard the notion that a calorie is a calorie. And this idea, based on measuring heat release in a laboratory bomb calorimeter, is irrelevant to human biology, because your body is not a machine for burning heat. Scientific studies prove that not all sources of energy are equal. Carbohydrates, for example, have been known for inhibiting energy production in a cell. Fructose, in particular, interferes with normal growth and burning processes. If a substance consumed does not contribute to either your growth or your ability to burn energy, then what is it? Well, experts categorize it as poison. And be aware of its supposed to be healthy swap to diet drinks. Though those substitutes are marketed as a solution, research shows that a diet sweetener consumption correlates with dementia due to the same mechanism of cellular damage that we just discussed. Specifically, sweeteners like aspartame, sucralose generate huge amount of reactive oxygen species, ROS. By trying to avoid sugar, many people inadvertently reduce the toxin that drives the very first step of the cellular energy crisis, leading to inflammation and damage. The good news is that your brain is capable of healing. The only way to stop the addiction and fix the damage is to get those depleted dopamine receptors back to their normal density. And this is why removing addictive stimulus, for example, by adopting a ketogenic diet, or cutting out sugar and starches, is so effective. It gives your brain the time it needs to reset the system. People who successfully quit sugar find that their brain can actually be rewired. They reach a point where they can look at a dessert and feel zero desire for it. Well, what about exercise? Exercise is vital, and science is clear about that. The real benefit is for the brain. Exercise increases the number of mitochondria and ATPs, creating more brain trophic factors to promote brain health. It is a powerful method for mitigating dementia risk. You need an immediate strategy to fight back, and here are the mandatory rules for reclaiming your health, straight from leading experts. Now, starting at the grocery store, do not go hungry. That's number one. This is non-negotiable. If you shop while you're hungry, your primal brain takes over and your dopamine depleted system will make poor choices. All bets are off. All of us have done it. Shop the perimeter. The freshest, most nutrient-dense foods are the products, the meats, vegetables that are almost always on the walls of the grocery store. If you dive into the center aisles, you're walking into 73% of products that are considered poison. Here are some label rules. The warning and the limit. Every food label should be considered a warning label. If sugar is listed in the first 3 to 4 ingredients under any of the 264 aliases, it's a dessert, regardless of whether it's a salad dressing or a loaf of bread, and especially if it's a juice. Eat the fruit, don't drink the juice. The fiber in the whole fruit is what slows absorption, protects your liver, and prevents sugar from spiking your system. Juicing or blending destroys the necessary fiber structure, turning it into pure sugar water that immediately overwhelms your system. Finally, we have to acknowledge the crucial role of mental health. High stress leads to high levels of cortisol, which suppresses your oxytocin, that bonding love hormone, and depletes your serotonin, that happy hormone. So when you can't feel safe or content, well, you seek comfort in addiction. Loneliness then becomes a powerful and dangerous vicious cycle. Loneliness, high stress, inflamed brain, reduced capacity to love and bond, and more loneliness. The ultimate solution is not a quick fix though. You have to do a total reset. Experts who have worked to re-engineer high-processed foods have summarized the entire metabolic solution in the 9 words, forming the definitive metabolic matrix. Protect the liver, feed the gut, and support the brain. The problem of chronic disease is not going away, and nearly half the population is pre-diabetic. Cancer is rising in younger demographics. The greatest, most impactful work you can do is to really reclaim your health. Remember the core message of this video. Your only reliable solution is to immediately and aggressively get the sugar out of your diet. This is not a diet. This is a permanent commitment to a life free from sweet deception. Now you know the truth. You know the science of the ATP crisis, the hijacking of your dopamine, the deliberate deception on the grocery shelves. The choice to ignore this information is to surrender your 95% chance to fight back against the future you fear most. Your action should be immediate. Your health is not a product of luck or genetics. It is the sum of every choice you make, starting from your next meal. The time for change is not tomorrow, it's right now.